The Bigfoot of Walton County, by Charles John, Journal of the Fortean Research Center, Volume 4, Number 4. Between July and October 1987, sightings of a large, unknown hair-covered creature, presumed to be a Bigfoot, were reported in Walton County, Florida. The primary witness, a 13-year-old boy, encountered the creature twice, providing an extraordinarily detailed description. I first interviewed the boy's parents in December 1987, then met with the boy and his family in January 1988. The following is a documented account of his terrifying encounters. The first sighting occurred when the boy was walking along a clay road near his home. About 30 yards into the dense woods, he spotted the large, dark figure watching him. As soon as they made eye contact, both he and the creature turned to leave at the same time. The boy paused and could hear the heavy footsteps of the creature retreating through the forest. The second encounter was far more frightening and detailed. One afternoon, while searching for deer tracks, the boy sensed movement out of the corner of his eye. Standing just 10 feet away, separated only by a small bush, was the massive, human-like creature. The boy froze in terror, and eerily, so did the creature. It stood perfectly still, only moving its eyes slightly to look at the boy. The two remained locked in a silent standoff for several minutes. The creature was described as being 9 feet tall, with long reddish-brown hair, except for a distinct white blaze running from its throat to its groin. A white beard covered its chin, while its nose, ears, upper cheeks, palms, and soles were hairless and black-skinned. The nose was flat and wide, beginning between two dark, heavy eyebrows. The creature's eyes were brown like a hamster's, with no visible whites. Its forehead sloped back into a pointed skull. The creature's muscles were well-defined, particularly its massive biceps and chest, which resembled that of a bodybuilder. As fear overtook the boy, he began trembling and dropped his walking stick. The creature finally turned its head to fully face him, let out a low growl, and walked away into the forest. The boy watched as it strode up a hill, its powerful muscles flexing with each step. The hair-covered buttocks swayed, with a clear separation down the middle. Even at 50 yards away, the creature paused and looked back, and to the boy's horror, its cheeks lifted as if it were smiling before vanishing into the woods. Footprints and other clues. The family discovered two sets of massive footprints in the area, measuring 17.5 inches and 16 inches long. Each showed distinct toes, a defined arch, and a deep heel imprint. In one print, the fifth toe was separated slightly from the rest. The boy's mother later recalled seeing small trees twisted and broken, a phenomenon often reported in Bigfoot cases. Even more bizarre, while canoeing on a nearby lake, the boy's younger sister saw something massive rising from the water, but before their mother could see it, it was gone. Although the creature's identity remains unknown, the evidence suggests something very real was lurking in Walton County during those months in 1987. The Shadow on the Road. The December Sighting, by Donald M. Ware, Journal of the Fortean Research Center, Volume 4, Number 4. On December 5, 1987, a man known as TMB had a brief but chilling encounter with an unknown creature while driving down State Road 280 in Florida. The sighting occurred about 7 miles from the earlier Walton County reports. A sudden appearance. At approximately 7 p.m., as TMB rounded a curve, his headlights illuminated a massive, shaggy figure standing at the edge of the road. The creature was between 8.5 and 9 feet tall, with long brown hair covering its entire body. For 5 seconds, TMB had a clear view of the creature standing upright, as if preparing to cross the road. As the car slowed from 55 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour, the creature turned and swiftly retreated into the forest. Although the encounter was brief, TMB later sketched the figure, and his drawing closely matched descriptions from other Bigfoot reports in the area. Meanwhile, in Defuniak Springs, Florida, Dawn Smith experienced a terrifying and unexplained event. On October 1st, 1987, she returned home at 9 p.m. to find that something had attacked the parrot cage on her porch. The wire mesh of the cage had been crushed inward, with the doors forcibly bent open, even though they were designed to only open outward. Feathers were scattered everywhere. 3 parrots were found alive but injured, with deep wounds on their backs and their tails ripped off. Another bird was dead, its wings completely torn off. 2 birds were missing altogether. Strangely, reddish-brown hairs were found caught in the damaged cage, but no tracks or clear evidence could be linked to a Bigfoot. Although some investigators dismissed the attack as unrelated, the timing and proximity to the other Bigfoot sightings in the region raise serious questions. Could this have been a predator attack? Or something far more intelligent? In Skamania County, Washington, Bigfoot is more than just a legend. It's a legally protected species. During the 1960s, reports of Bigfoot sightings surged, leading to an unprecedented event. The county government passed an ordinance making it illegal to harm or kill a Sasquatch. In 1969, Skamania County passed Ordinance Number 69-01, which formally recognized the possibility of Bigfoot's existence. The law stated, whereas there is evidence to indicate the possible existence of a nocturnal primate mammal, commonly known as Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or giant hairy ape, any premeditated, willful slaying shall be punishable by law. Anyone found guilty of harming Bigfoot faced a $10,000 fine and up to 5 years in jail. However, in 1984, the penalties were reduced. The fine was set at $1,000, with 1 year of jail time. A town divided. Locals held mixed opinions on the law. Some saw it as a joke, while others believed it was a necessary step in case Bigfoot was real. A man named David, a dedicated Bigfoot researcher, claimed to have seen the creature multiple times and collected fur, tracks, and eyewitness accounts. Though many dismiss him as eccentric, David remains one of the last true believers, determined to protect the legend, and perhaps the creature itself. The Shadow of Another World by Richard D. Seafried, Journal of the Fortean Research Center, Volume 4, Number 4. Bigfoot sightings and strange occurrences have long been a part of Native American folklore and modern-day reports alike. A Foul Stench in the Forest, 1964. The first encounter was not visual, but rather olfactory. While hiking in the Olympic National Park rainforest, I was suddenly overcome by an overwhelming stench. A mixture of rotting meat, garbage, and something worse. The source of the smell seemed to be a cave entrance several feet above me, but I saw no sign of an animal. At the time, I dismissed it as a bear. But years later, when newspapers began reporting Bigfoot sightings in the same area, I started to wonder, could the awful smell have been something else? More than a decade later, I was hiking up Steen Mountain in Idaho when I encountered something that defied explanation. As I made my way across a steep meadow, a deep, chest-rattling roar echoed up from the valley below. It was unlike anything I had ever heard before, far more powerful than any bear or mountain lion. The roar sent chills through my body, reminding me of stories of circus gorillas from the 1940s. 2 days later, my supervisor confirmed that U.S. Forest Service employees had reported a terrifying encounter in that same area. A man I interviewed, Troy, described how he and a coworker had stopped at Wagon Hammer Springs at 2:30 a.m. to get a drink. As soon as his friend stepped away from the truck, he screamed in terror. When Troy ran to his aid, he saw nothing, but heard large, crashing footsteps retreating into the forest. His friend was in shock, insisting that he had come face to face with a massive ape-like figure sitting on a boulder watching them. In July 1985, I was hiking with my wife and daughter in Glacier National Park. The trail had been dusty and dry for days, but after a light rainfall overnight, the ground was damp, perfect for spotting fresh tracks. That's when I saw it. A single, perfectly defined footprint. It was larger than my booted foot and clearly human-like, complete with 5 distinct toes and a well-formed arch. But what made it chilling was its placement. The footprint was crosswise on the trail, suggesting that whatever made it had stepped once and then vanished into the forest. My daughter refused to look at it and my wife quickly dismissed it, but deep down, I knew that something had walked this trail before us. In August 1987, while working in Crater Lake National Park, Oregon, I finally saw the creature with my own eyes. It was just past midnight, and I was driving down a dark, empty road when something moved into my headlights. For a split second, I saw it, a tall, fur-covered figure with exaggerated arm movements striding gracefully across the road. Before I could react, it vanished into the darkness. The next morning, another park ranger approached me. She was visibly shaken. "Last night," she said, "I sat outside my cabin with my dog, looking out over the moonlit valley. Suddenly, I heard massive branches breaking and logs being thrown down by the creek. Her dog, which normally reacted to any movement, stayed completely still." When she described the exact location of the noises, my hair stood on end. It was the same area where I had seen the creature disappear. Could it have been a coincidence? Maybe. But after decades of strange experiences, unexplainable footprints, and terrifying sounds, I had finally come to a conclusion. Something was out there, and that something was watching us. Camping out in Bigfoot's backyard, an intrepid daily Nebraskan reporter-photographer team explores the wilderness for evidence of the elusive creature. By Bob Nelson, Journal of the Fortune Research Center, Volume 4, Number 4. By now, Dan Messias has told his story hundreds of times, and he remains the only one who truly knows whether it's real. It was a snow-covered night on March 28, 1987, in Green Mountain Falls, Colorado. At 11:45 p.m., Messias looked out the second-story window of his home and saw something impossible. 2 creatures, one about 6.5 feet tall, the other much smaller, were running down Hondo Street. Messias recalled, "Dan Messias." It was dark, but the track lighting from my house lit the snow-covered road. Both creatures ran on 2 feet, their long arms swinging. They were covered in long brown hair. Messias and his son Jeff rushed outside. What they found chilled them even further. 2 sets of footprints in the snow. He took photographs of the prints, which showed large, man-like feet with 4 claw-like extensions from the heel. Even stranger, the snow around the prints was melted, as if the creatures were warm-blooded and shadows running down the road. Instead, we found something we couldn't explain. A case that won't go away. We weren't the only ones taking Messiah seriously. LSU physiologist Vaughn Langman had researchers at LSU's Museum of Natural History analyze the footprints. They could not match them to any known North American species. Brienzo himself admitted that the prints didn't match typical Bigfoot tracks. If someone were hoaxing them, they did a poor job. Messiah seemed normal, friendly, and had nothing to gain from telling his story. We arrived at Messias's isolated 3-story cabin in the heavily wooded ridges above the village. Dan greeted us warmly, looking uncannily like Wayne Newton, with his tall black hair and mustache. He led us upstairs where he had meticulously documented his sightings, with photos, newspaper clippings, and personal notes. His wife, however, was frustrated. "Mrs. Messias, I'm tired of not knowing what the creature is. Researchers come and promise answers, but no one ever figures it out. I just want to know what's been coming around our house." The most intriguing sightings had occurred within 200 yards of Messiah's home. A heavy animal path ran just 50 yards past the house, leading into the isolated Pike National Forest. Dan had seen human-like tracks there and smelled a heavy, musky odor, a stench like body odor mixed with decay. Then there was the break-in at the Dabler cabin. In July 1988 at 4 a.m., something broke through the screen porch door of the Dabler family's cabin, just 100 yards from Dan's home. 2 full trash cans were on the porch at the time. Ryan Dabler never saw what did it, but a week earlier, his mother had spotted a bear outside. However, when Messias and Brienzo investigated, they found about 100 strands of hair caught in the broken screen door. Messias gave samples to Unsolved Mysteries, which had them tested by Dr. Gerald Lowenstein at Pacific Presbyterian Medical Center in San Francisco. The results? The hair was similar to primate and human hair, but did not match either. Brienzo was shocked. He was convinced that the break-in was the work of a black bear, but the hair sample findings made that assumption uncertain. Ryan Dabler remained unconvinced. Ryan Dabler, I don't care about this creature stuff. It was definitely a bear, but Messias disagreed. Another incident had been reported 2 years earlier, in the summer of 1986. A woman named Holly Johnson, staying in a cabin just 50 yards from Dan's, heard her tomcat screeching outside. She ran to the door, only to see a cloud of cat fur and a large ape-like creature running into the forest on 2 feet. She later described the event on national television. By now, Eric and I were unsettled. We decided to hike into the Pike National Forest to search for wetland regions above the village. Brienzo had said that spores found on Messias's hair samples could only have come from a marshy area, and this was the only one for miles. We weren't thrilled about what that implied. It meant that whatever left that hair had been living there. That night, we camped deep in the forest, setting up a Bigfoot trap, a pile of rotting cucumbers, oranges, ravioli, and chili. At 12:30 a.m., Eric froze. Eric Gregory. Shut up, did you hear that? Rustling sounds came from the trap. We grabbed our camera and flash and pointed them into the darkness. The flash burst like a lightning strike, burning a stark image into my retinas. What we saw was only shadows, but something had been there. We retreated back to the fire, shaken. In retrospect, we realized how dangerous it had been. We had been standing there armed, with guns in one hand and cameras in the other. What if something had charged us? The next day, we found something more disturbing. About 30 minutes from our campsite, we discovered a broken-down footbridge over a stream. Beyond it, the forest was thicker, and the air had changed. A nauseating stench hit us. A locker room, body odor smell. Brienzo had described the exact same smell in March, near Dan's home. Then Eric found something, a large footprint in the gravel. It was deep, far deeper than our own. Weeks later, we sent the hair sample to Dr. W.H. Fehrenbach in Oregon. The hair's core structure did not match any known Colorado animal. It had a solid medulla, unlike human hair. Fehrenbach's response? Dr. W.H. Fehrenbach. Sightings are a dime a dozen. What we need is video or a body, Brienzo agreed. Bob Brienzo. If this is all a hoax, it would be the biggest, most complex one in history. And Macias? He still isn't making a dime off his story. So what's the more logical explanation? As a journalist, I returned without a carcass, so I won't say it outright, but I think you already know. The stories above offer just a glimpse into the eerie encounters with Bigfoot. Whether a real, undiscovered species or a legend passed through generations, the mystery endures. From deep forests to lonely highways, sightings continue, fueling belief and curiosity. If you enjoyed these chilling tales and want more, please like and subscribe for more stories of the unexplained. Who knows? The next big sighting might be closer than you think.